There are lots of isms that we're going to encounter in our lives. Lots of them. And people roll them off, and you'll hear a new one every day, it seems like, especially if you're a young person. Don't be surprised. Some of them are good. Lots of them are good. Catholicism is a good one, right? Patriotism is a good one. But some of them are bad in themselves, and one of those is socialism. And today, we've learned a little bit, hopefully, about why that's the case. Now, I was going to ask for volunteers to demonstrate how socialism begins, but I've changed my mind. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to ask a different question, and that is, who would like a chocolate bar? All right, I've got a couple of volunteers. I've got 3. I've got 4. All right, 4 brave souls. I would like you to just come up and maybe let's sit on the front row, okay? If you want to volunteer, if you want a chocolate bar, come sit on the front row. I promise the juice will be worth the squeeze. A little patience, we'll get there. We'll have a little fun along the way. Okay, so I've got 3 brave souls. All right, wonderful. Okay, so a chocolate bar. This will be $3. $3. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's not free, really. Someone pays for everything in this world. But I realize that might be expensive for some. It might seem like this is an expensive chocolate bar for $3. A lot of people are actually telling us, the government, that they have, because it's so expensive, they have inadequate access to chocolate and chocolate bars. You might not know this, but if we socialize the chocolate bar industry, you can get the same chocolate for less. Did you understand? Do you understand that? What do you say? Do you want to socialize the chocolate bar industry? We got 2 yes. We got 3 yes. We got 100% confirmation. Even if they'd said no, there are a lot of people in these United States, and and some of those are not here, and they have all been going into their congressmen and their senators, and they've been lobbying for years to socialize the chocolate bar system so that we can all have adequate access to chocolate bars. So we are actually going to fast forward, and we're going to get past the Affordable Chocolate Bar Act. And I will now show you the affordable chocolate bar for everyone. Now, instead of this chocolate bar costing you $3, this chocolate bar will only cost you $2. You should see their faces. They don't look impressed. I don't know why. What is this chocolate bar made of? Chocolate. What shape is it? It's a bar shape. This is a chocolate bar. I don't know why anyone is upset. And this is $2. This is a third less than what people used to think about as a chocolate bar. And these were actually chocolate bars that were only available to the wicked rich and to executives of top companies. This is now going to be illegal without government permission. How's that sound? Does that sound like a good deal? Well, I'm actually not exaggerating. This is exactly what has happened in my lifetime. I'm not even 40 years old. But I'm not even 40 years old. This is actually exactly what has happened in my lifetime to the healthcare industry. I've seen it as an adult. Let me rewind. I was born in DeKalb County, Alabama. Even today, the wages there are about 2/3 what they are in Cincinnati. All right, and even at that time, my dad was a junior draftsman at a company. He had been a mechanic when he had kids. He became a junior draftsman and started a new job. We were never poor. I knew families who had lower income than we. We were never poor. We were just not wealthy monetarily. There were men who serviced sock machines at the hosiery mills who made more money than my dad. The men working the shipping department at his company with some tenure made more money than my dad. But we were never poor, right? And we were rich in many other ways that, having a family, you all know very well. in this room. But I just want to illustrate that. But still, this was in the mid 80s to 1990s. One time I had pneumonia and I was hospitalized as a young child, and I I required special care as an infant with pneumonia for a long time. My parents paid nothing for that. His company that he worked for, paid all of that. When I was 7 years old, I fell off the top bunk and I gave myself a concussion and spent the night in the hospital. They paid nothing for that. The company that he worked for paid for all of it. When my little sister was born, this is one of my first memories. I was 3 years old. And I remember going to the hospital room, and they still had those units where, they bring the baby and they put him in front of the big window. And I looked through the window, and there was one that the hair sticking straight up, and I knew that was my little sister. We called her the party girl. But my family had to pay nothing for that. The company covered that entire expense, even for that junior draftsman that made less than the packing clerk out in the shipping office. Okay? Now, fast forward to 2010. I was leaving the Army. And as I was leaving the Army in my last duty station, I was friends with one of the top executives for a health care insurance organization, one of the leading ones. And there was rumbles in Washington that this was going to be, they were going to socialize the healthcare insurance system. And he said this is going to be the end of it. The pre-existing conditions, not being able to turn away people, this is going to be the end of it. 2 months later, on the same porch, the same guy, I talked to him, I said, how is this going? Tell me about what's going on. And he said, I was totally wrong. I was totally wrong. This is going to be the biggest moneymaker for the healthcare industry in its history, because we are going to redefine what a chocolate bar is, and people will have to buy it. Okay. A few months later, I left the Army and I saw it in action. All right? So on the screen, you will see 3 percentages. All right? Let's say that when I came out and went to work as a civilian, for my family, my small family, I paid $100 a month to have health care insurance. The next year, that went up 35%. The next year, that went up 27%. The next year, that went up 25%. Within 4 years, I was paying twice what I had for health care. Now, my chocolate bar cost me twice as much as it did before. All right? Now, we weren't sicker. We never went to the doctor except for like the annual routine checkups. So let's talk about the chocolate itself. All right? That got smaller too. So I was paying twice as much and my chocolate got smaller. You see, anytime I went to the doctor, I had to pay more to go to the doctor. If we really got sick and had an emergency, the amount of money that I would have to pay out of my pocket doubled. So that was my responsibility. And I would tell you, that's exactly the same, that even when you get into some of the lowest income people in this city still pay almost $6,000 a year just to claim that they have health care coverage. Now, if they just go get a checkup at the doctor each year, like most of us do, that only costs them $150. So they don't have any chocolate in that bar. All they've got is a wrapper that says they've got health care insurance. And those are the people with the poorest income, some of the poorest income in our city. You don't want to live the life of the people who can get free health care underneath the social, and they don't want to either, right? Underneath this socialized medicine system. It isn't free. So what about Dad? What about Dad's healthcare system? Well, his company had to stop providing those benefits because those were called Cadillac healthcare plans. They were only available to the incredibly wealthy and to CEOs, like a junior draftsman who made less than the shipping clerk, right? His company in rural Alabama would have had to have paid $2.5 million in fees, plus all of that healthcare costs to have kept those healthcare plans for their employees. $2.5 million just in fees to the government because they were giving too good of a chocolate bar for people. Okay? So there's what socialism does. It redefines it and sets up something else where you actually you pay more for less in the end. So we've talked about healthcare. The other place where socialism begins is in housing. When we say housing, someone might think of something like this, right? a home, right? But in the socialized system, it looks something more like this, all right? Maybe it's okay when it's built, it rapidly deteriorates because no one can maintain it, all right? So what's the point? All right, I guess what I'm saying is now that things are socialized in the healthcare industry, neither you nor I nor anyone in this room can legally have what a junior draftsman in rural Alabama had in 1995. Don't be fooled. It doesn't matter what you know is best for you. Once something is socialized, it only matters what someone else thinks is good enough for everyone else. Okay? And that boring lesson, but important one, is the price you pay for a free child. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you, everyone.